And we're live.
That was it. The surprise
That's
intro.
it.
That's right.
We were just talking about. I don't know. Do we have an opening for Tuesdays? No, we never have one for
Well, I
that.
mean, I think I don't want to go to one because that
Well-
means it's staying around for a long time. And I'm really hoping this Tuesday night show is ended because we opened the country back up.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. All right.
Here you go. Here's the whole show.
They love their names.
That's right. There you go. That's it. That was the whole show. Tom ruined it. We're all going home now.
There it is. Oh, look, there's a trackable.
Now, I'm going to say, you notice that both of our names on there, but Gary's got his grubby little hands on there and hasn't offered to send it to me at all yet.
I might bring it to you.
Yeah, okay.
Someday.
That thing's staying locked in your house forever. I know.
No, I'll try. I'll share it with you.
That's okay. You know,
like it says, it's geocaching ambassador.
I know. Look at
my
that.
friend are a geocaching ambassador.
That's close to some things I've been called before.
It's got some of the right initials in it. In the right order?
Yeah, it's got some of the right letters in it anyway. Yeah.
You ambassador. Okay. We got a little bit of
news or kind of mention what we're, because if these are watched out of order, we'll mention what we're doing tonight. So it's another Tuesday night. We haven't done very many of these. If you watch this and it's not live, this is during Corona time when everybody's locked in the house. So better than stay locked in the house and watch the news and get more depressed and not watch sports, not watch anything else, not be able to go anywhere. We thought we'd fill Tuesday nights on the nights we're not doing Gadget Talk with just a fun show. It's, as the title says, just for fun. Yep. Oh, we're invited over for cookies.
Woohoo!
We need cookies. So this is a kill the time show where we just goof off. We have a little bit of an agenda, but the idea is just to have some fun. It's geocaching related still, right? Because that's our hobby. But and also stray off topic. That on this night, it's okay to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, we're gonna mix and match. We're gonna mishmash geocaching and some other items because it'll be fun, and we'll get other people. We'll get the chat room to jump in and give us some of their loves and hates because
I lead into the news story though from snagthetag.com.
The Year of No Megas.
Cool, we don't in the chat room. So I wouldn't know that no megas.
Sure.
Yeah. So in the news today, GCHQ, that I know it was hard for them to do, right? But both them and Woodstock announced that they're putting it off till next year.
Yep.
Which other events have done that as well. And how hard do you think that decision was to make for them, though?
It had to be terrible. It had to be huge, but and part of it is them being. I talked to Ryan a little bit today, but I mean, you were talking about, and Ryan can give us the stat. I'm sure he'll put it in the chat room, but they had an overwhelming number of internationals, and that's kind of where I think the problem lies. I don't think it's the August date. I think it's that internationals coming to the U.S. in August is problematic. I don't think I think everything else will be up and running, but they couldn't really have it up and running and then go, "Oh, sorry, internationals, we can't let you come over. Sorry, we'll see you some other year. Goodbye."
And I think you got to keep in mind that Washington State and that metro area there got hit really hard.
Yeah, I did.
So they have to have respect for the area that they're in, not knowing what's going to happen. They went ahead and made the call, which I know was hard for them, but I think they did the right thing with that. Now, what they didn't say is that all megas are canceled because we know Mingo is still happening. Luckily, we're on the inside track of that one, and Ryan's in the chat room. He knows all the details of that one.
Midwest Geobash is still on.
Yeah, August is still too early. They moved it a year, that one in Geo Woodstock, but Mingo's still on. There's a couple other ones that are still on. They're later in the year, and we're all hoping we're going to have restrictions lifted by then, and we'll be back closer to normal, I think.
Yeah, I think that I'm sure Project Ape was moved to. It was all right in there, but
I'm sure. But you know what? They're not going to cancel it and not let everybody have a chance to celebrate. So they'll do it at 21. They'll call it Geocaching Turns 21 or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. That'll be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll still be good, and they had to do it, and they did it for selfless reasons. Obviously they'd rather have it, but they're doing it because it's the right thing. It's the right message to send, and you can't say that you're social distancing if 5,000 people show up in one little location. So
sure,
it's like a rock concert, right? You can't do that.
Yeah, and again, they had the huge Metro gathering is still on as of now, so that's good. Thanks, Sharon.
Good. Yeah, there's still megas on the board for the rest of the year for now. So
yeah, going caching is still on. That's October. So, all right, that was the news.
That's it. That's pretty much all the news that came out today. I sent it out on the Patreon board. I tried to also, I know me and several other people went ahead and posted it to some groups online. Gary did as well, and just to kind of spread the news so everybody knows. Anybody that has plans, they can kind of cancel them and move around. And it's a bummer. I was really looking forward to it, and we had the CFO and I had planned to tack on some trip to that for our anniversary. That's around that same weekend. So
right,
we'll see that changes all those plans, but we'll still have fun, right? Everybody's still going to have fun. Hopefully, it'll be cleared up by then, and we'll all just be out caching regularly.
Right. No, you're exactly right. All right, let's get into our weird topic for that. I want to say weird, not really weird. It's different tonight. We're gonna mix and match. We're gonna mix and match some different topics. Some are geocaching related, some are not, and we're gonna start off with one that isn't, because I think it's interesting, and that is what we are currently binge watching or listening to.
What's funny is you'll see a lot of parallels, even I think, when we talk about non-geocaching related.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of makes sense in our styles of geocaching as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Personality styles and stuff. So, all right, who's going first? You?
I'll let you go first. One thing, of course, people will realize is that we're the perfect pair to be co-hosts because we're very different.
Very different, yeah.
But we're alike in many ways, but in some ways we're very different. I think that as you've mentioned before, I think that really gives a greater richness to this podcast. The fact that you and I are not clones of one another. So,
oh, definitely not.
We'll see some of that tonight. And we've had, and for people that are maybe new listening, we have a blast geocaching together, and and we get along great. So, and just there might be things that we're like, I don't like that. He does. That's cool. We move on. We don't get hung up on others. Stuff. So
it's fun. I don't know what people have as far as their personal group of friends, but if it's all clones of yourself, and what do they call it? A echo chamber.
Yeah.
Everybody has the same opinions. That gets boring really quick, right?
Well, like Eric, love Eric to death. Great guy. I wouldn't watch Better Call Saul if you put a gun to my head. So,
did you watch Breaking Bad?
No, me or him? I'm sure he did.
I'm sure he did too. He was watching that.
Heck no!
That was a great show.
I've watched maybe 60 seconds of it. Maybe. No, I'm weird. You know that. We'll get into that tonight. Tell us what you're currently watching.
Okay.
How's Tiger King? How wonderful is that show?
Oh my gosh, you're so crazy.
I know.
That's ranked as one of the best shows of all time, right?
Oh yeah, great.
So obviously the rest of the world doesn't agree with you, but
I weep for America.
All right, so what we're currently we just finished, as a matter of fact, last night.
Okay.
We just finished this one. It's on History Channel. No, it's on Amazon. It's called Dude, You're Screwed. We stumbled across this one recently, and there's 3 of us in the house now: me, the wife, and our 13-year-old daughter. So we watch a lot of shows together when we watch shows.
Yeah.
So Dude, You're Screwed is a show on Amazon. There's 2 seasons of it. We watched them rather quickly. It's a survival show. So it is. It was a lot of fun. Now, I watch a lot of survival shows. I love those. Naked and Afraid, not Survivor, by the way.
Right.
Not that crap, but survival shows.
Survival.
So this one is a group of, these are survivalist experts, Delta, Rangers, SEALs, stuff like that, right? Green Beret. This is those people. So they're experts, but they kind of have fun with it too. So the game, as they call it, is there's a whole group of them, and they take turns and they grab one. Like one of them will know it's like roughly their week, but so the first part of it is they try to sneak up on them and grab them. Okay. So they try to grab them like at work, or they try to grab them when they're doing something, or doing some training or whatever else, and they grab them and then they drop them off somewhere completely unknown to them, and they give them like one or two tools, and they have 100 hours to get to civilization.
Okay.
Now, they don't know where civilization is, Survivor Man.
It reminds me that I love Survivor Man.
They don't know which way to go or anything else, right? They don't even know what continent they're on. So they drop them off like at the top of a snowy mountain, or one time they dropped them off like in a cave. So they had to like swim out of this maze to even get to land in the middle of a jungle to get out. Mm-hmm. But it's a great show, totally clean, and they're watching them the whole time. And some of the times they'll mess with them, like they'll try to trick them into going a certain direction,
right?
To take them away from where they're going. Now this isn't just like some college schmo that wants to get famous. These are actual survival experts, and they actually they're going to keep them safe. They're not going to let them die and everything. And they have these parameters like don't get too hot or too cold, but. We got into that show and we binge watched those 2 seasons. There's only 2 seasons total, but we watched those quickly. It wasn't even that long ago we discovered this show.
Is it pretty well filmed, do you think? Or
oh yeah, it's high budget. I mean, they're flying all over the world.
Right.
It's a high budget show. I don't know if it's an Amazon original or who did it originally, but it's big budget show, and it's you start thinking, you're watching this show and you're like, I think I could do that. And then you're like, oh yeah, that guy's a Navy SEAL and he just failed. So I'm probably not going to jump out there and do that.
What if I could do it? Yeah, no, I can't.
But it ties into geocaching if you like the really backcountry stuff, because you start thinking, oh, that's interesting right there. Or, oh, that's something I wouldn't have even thought of.
Right.
So it ties into kind of the geocaching I wish I was doing right now, the really backwoods stuff. So that's my number 1 show.
So it's probably better than Naked and Afraid or Alone, or what was that?
Naked and Afraid. I like that show also, but that's an interactive show for me. I yell at them all the time.
Right.
I'm like, oh, you're an idiot. But they intentionally hire people in those shows like Survivor and stuff that are dramatic and they're going to make for fun television.
Right.
Not survival experts, right?
It's right. It's designed to be somewhat train wrecky.
Yeah, well, it's fun. If they just were sitting there and they're like, I'm good, like they just have to survive and then walk out like 10 miles or whatever the last day. Because they don't have to accomplish anything. They just have to live. Because half the time they just lay around on the ground like, I'm hungry.
Because I love Survivor Man because it was just him filming.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had trouble, there was going to be trouble. But all right. So over to me.
Over to you.
All right. Here's a show that I'm currently binge watching, which is kind of funny. This kind of gives you an idea of, I don't know, maybe it's some sort of insight into me. But I watched maybe 2 episodes when it first came out, and then I got busy with life and forgot about it. And then my sons were like, why haven't you watched every episode of this? I was like, So have you ever watched Community?
I watched a couple episodes of it.
Okay.
And it seemed kind of funny.
I'm extremely deep dive. Susan and I are watching. We're into season 3. We're about 2 episodes into 3. But every night we tend to watch 1 or 2 episodes of it. And just love it. Love it, love it, love it. Chevy Chase is a jerk. I don't know if anybody knew that. Sorry to burst your bubble. When I was growing up, he was one of my favorite comedians, but he always seemed to have sort of this weird kind of, he had a different humor.
Mm-hmm.
And as I read later about him, he can't get along with anyone. Mm-hmm. He is no, the party's just starting, just finding a way. No problem. You're not late. You're fashionably on time.
There you go.
But love the show. There's these crazy. I tell you how you can get hooked on the show and get deep dived in. look for the episodes at the end of seasons of Community where they have paintball. There's a whole episode about paintball in at least the first 2 seasons. And it is the craziest, awesome time when they do. Basically, they basically destroy the whole community college playing paintball. And there's a theme behind it, and there's a lot of the acting is tremendous. It is great. Once in a while, they'll do these weird kind of off the wall. One was a claymation. One was, kind of. So they do these where they just go off on a whole other tangent.
Yeah,
and then they come back. But love it.
A lot of people have told me to watch it. I just haven't gotten into it.
Yeah, it's been a fun ride, and I've got a few seasons to go. So, all right, what's your next one?
My next one, I think this is one you enjoy as well.
Yes,
is The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch.
Yes,
hard to say I'm binging that, although I want to be binging it. It is a current show.
Yeah, it's a current show. So, like tonight, I'm taping tonight. Probably is taping right now. After another show, we'll talk about in a second, but that is a freak. That's a freak show.
You can't be more. I mean, they might as well be geocachers. They are trying to solve a puzzle. They spent all kinds of money traveling and trying to solve this puzzle. They keep figuring out different ways to do it, bringing other people in. It's the general idea of the show is there's this ranch in the middle of an Indian reservation.
Yes.
That is allegedly haunted, and people for hundreds of years have been trying to figure out what's wrong with it. Well, they've got some pretty legit scientists in there now trying to figure it out, and every week they get more questions. And
jumping in. Yeah,
it is. It's pretty tense too, and I don't know the answer. It's either totally made up or it's really good, and it's not that far from me. I already looked it up.
Yeah, and
it's not that far from me. Although, Bubba and Bubba's brother that are on there are carrying the shotgun and the AR-15. I'm probably not going to try to sneak on it.
The security guy is over the top douchey. I don't know how to put it. He's over the top. The guy that with the guy with the security guy. He's like, well, you're not doing that here on this property. Like early on, they're like. Well, the one guy's like, we need to do some digging to see. He goes, no, you're not digging on this property, not while I'm alive. And it's like, oh gosh, you're such a jerk. But
I don't know how much of that is for TV, right? But
it is
a good show, though.
Yeah, it is odd because I don't really like the show. I don't like the shows that are on that are the paranormal, the haunted, blah blah blah.
No, this one could have a real explanation to it.
Yeah, because they showed this is kind of a mix, and I like the fact that it's kind of a mix. You've got part of it is paranormal, which is fine. I don't hate it. I just never been really drawn to watching that. But
you mean because it's imaginary crap, or for no reason?
Okay. But the interesting thing about it is there's that science side of it.
Yes,
there's definitely something going on, and I know people are going to like, oh yeah, right, sure, but they've shown, because the one guy that's on there that they brought in, he seems pretty sane. Some of the other guys are kind of out
right.
But they've shown they've gotten. Unless it's entirely made up, I don't think.
Unless they're lying about it.
Yeah, unless they're lying.
There's
radiation levels are weird. If you do kind of get, because they found that one kind of ravine looking, like a sinkhole looking thing with rock. And he got down in there and he's like, there's something wrong down here.
Do you think if the government had the property before them, there would really be anything going on? I blame the government for something actually going on.
It's not far. Yeah.
Nuclear testing. If some government type facility that had it, companies have been busted before for disposing of hazardous waste illegally.
Right.
If that hazardous waste is up under that ground and it's, seeping into the groundwater and it's radioactive material or whatever, that could cause a lot of the stuff that they're talking about.
Yeah, the cows are dying. They have a lot of weird. They've had a lot of.
That doesn't explain why there's hundreds of years of stuff there.
Right.
So that could explain the modern stuff, but why was it way back in the day? And the Skinwalker part, that's an Indian legend that they explain it all on the show. But like I've read that in fictional books before. They've referenced that Skinwalker legend before.
And something's going on before, like it's not just nuclear fallout or whatever. There's something going on there that's been going on, like you said, for some time. There's some natural phenomenon that's going on that's causing some of this to occur. And so, the lights, where are these lights coming from? It's really, I mean, they showed it and they're like,
I'm going to blame it on the Russians. I saw Red Dawn, both of them. I know what's up.
Yeah, I saw the first one. I didn't even attempt the second one because I heard it wasn't very good. But
it was not the original.
Yeah,
but it was still pretty good. It was actually pretty good, and I was a big fan of the original. It scared the crap out of me when I was a little kid.
Oh, I did. Me too. I loved it. And then of course, the sequel to Red Dawn was Dirty Dancing, but that's for another.
Yeah.
That's for.
They beat the Russians and celebrated with dancing, right?
Because you had Jennifer Grey and what's his name? Tells you how much. Who is Patrick Swayze.
Yeah.
Patrick.
He has left us. He may be buried on Skinwalker Ranch. Okay.
Next.
So you're next.
Well, Curse of Oak Island, which you've watched.
Oh gosh, yes. We binged the heck out of that.
Yeah, I've watched every episode at least probably 3 or 4 times. I don't know why more geocachers don't get into. Oh, thank you, Dave.
There's the trackable discovery tonight for anybody watching the video.
Yep. Mr. Houston, Texas, Dave.
Curse of Oak Island is a lot of fun.
And if you're hardcore and you're diehard, you'll stick with it. Now, there's many episodes where nothing will happen, and that's kind of weird to say, but they will not really. I mean, they found, and people, I've had people. It's kind of like Bigfoot. Well, you haven't proved there's a Bigfoot. Well. And some people are like, well, you haven't found the giant treasure on Oak Island. Yeah, but they found stuff. I mean, because people are like, oh, it's not real. Nobody's ever proven that they buried anything there.
I have a different opinion of it, but I'm just as hooked. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's anything buried there. However, I am fascinated by every little thing. It's basically like watching gamblers slowly gamble away all their money. It's like being in a casino and people watching. These guys, they'll find like a little shard of something, and they have a whole new theory. And they found because this is so famous, as soon as they find like one thing, there's somebody that has a conspiracy theory out there that explains all this. They bring them in, and they all get hyped up again.
Yeah, it's the Spanish. It's this was brought from France, and a lot of those things are good. I mean, you've seen it. They have found
deep enough anywhere you're going to find stuff.
Coins, they found a lot of surface stuff, which I think helps kind of keep the flow.
It fuels it. Yeah, it's enough to watch, but Christy laughs at me because that's basically my attitude when I'm out caching. Like she'll be like, I didn't find it. I'm out. She loses interest really quick. I'm like, oh, give me one more minute. That urge you get where you're like, but it could be right around this corner. And it could be right here. Just give me another minute.
Yeah. Curse of Oak Island. I don't know if that's the one Direwolf's asking about, but
Christy just walked in to refill my drink for another show.
Yep.
And she whispered that Hunting Hitler was better.
Hunting Hitler was a good show because we know that a lot of them, a lot of the fugitives or whatever you want to call them, they came over to South America.
So, okay, this one, what was the name of the show again? So that's Curse of Oak Island.
Curse of Oak Island.
Talking about Hunting Hitler also. If you haven't watched Hunting Hitler
and
you like mysteries and history at all, don't do it unless you're in a global pandemic like we are right now and you have a lot of time to kill. Because
it's and the problem was, and I talked about this in my first book. Well, that sounds real haughty, doesn't it? But I did mention in the book about I actually was like those guys. I was like Marty and his brother.
So she had geocache where they're digging and really throw them off. There's actually a huge series right around there.
Yeah, there are some. Right. I like to go up there because that we could go see Pete Young at IB Geocaching. He invited us to come up, and so I need to go up there sometime. But
Forged in Fire is mentioned.
Love Forged in Fire.
But Hunting Hitler was fascinating enough that both my older teen and my younger daughter, which was not a teen at the time, they were glued to this show all weekend. We binge watched this. This wasn't even in a pandemic. This was a regular weekend where we had stuff planned. Yep. We didn't leave the house. We watched this thing over and over, and they wanted to stay up. They can stay up later than me. I'm older. But they're like, let's watch one more episode. I'm like, I'm dying here. I'm dying. So
yeah, I actually read, I wish I kept it, but I had that actual Reader's Digest that they reference in the book in the show. I had a copy of that, and now you can't buy it. I mean, you can spend a lot of money, but I wish I still had that. I watched Audie. Yeah, I watched all of Lego Masters.
I haven't seen Lego Masters yet, so
I watched the whole thing. That was a great show to a point, but it was interesting. Lego Masters was really good. You can go catch that. Will Arnett was the host, and of course he's Batman. So.
Yeah.
All right. Next, on to yours. On to your some sort of podcast you're listening to, other than our
it's a podcast, and it's not geocaching related at all.
Right.
And it'll sound odd but I'll explain why I even bring it up. But
okay.
So it's called the Brutal Iron Gym Podcast, and obviously it's a working out podcast, health and nutrition stuff too. But the reason why I got so hooked on this one as opposed to many of the other ones I'm listening to, I had to do some training a while back, and I was traveling.
Right.
So first I went down and it was like 2 back-to-back weeks of travel. One was to go see my daughter compete national championships of cheer, when sports still happened. And after that, I had to fly from there to a training for work. And I was flying to like this little bitty town on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina.
Right.
And, I'm already kind of out of my element for a week and I have to get back on, and I try to stick to a pretty strict like health and fitness regimen because of just health issues and everything else. Right.
Right.
So they didn't have anything there in that area that was like, I didn't want to go to like the box gyms and stuff like that. It's like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Yeah. So, and I knew this was going to be this is a big 10-day span with all this. Right. And I didn't want to be grumpy and unhealthy and everything else. So I found on Facebook, this guy owned a gym in town, and it was like a private gym. For like really serious competitors and stuff like that. And it was a long shot, but I reached out to the guy, and I also found out he had a podcast. So he was a podcaster. So I reached out to him and said, hey, I saw that you had the podcast and you have the gym in town, and this is a long shot, but is there any chance I'll pay, just tell me what it is.
Yeah.
Cause it's like a really high end gym, right? I'll pay, just let me know. I only been in town for 4 days, but it's been on the end of a 10-day trip, and I don't want to come back home feeling grungy and stuff.
Right.
And he was like, oh yeah, absolutely. Come on out. We'll figure it out. Come on out. So I get out there, and so it's a 24-hour gym, and that's like, fob into it, but it's small. It's exclusive. There's only certain people there.
Oh, wow.
So you fob into the gym. He gives me a fob, and I fob in the gym. We get to work out for days, and then I meet up with him towards the end. He goes, yeah, we'll meet up at the end. And he was just checking to make sure I wasn't some weirdo, right? That's why I was saying we'll work it out. Yeah. He didn't charge me a dime.
Wow.
This is the best gym I've ever worked out in before, which was just such a relief having been gone for so long, right? Get some normalcy back in your schedule. And so we got to talking for a while too, because him and his wife, they run the gym, or fiance or wife. But he also podcasts every day.
Oh, wow. 7
days a week he podcasts, and he has the podcast studio set up in the gym. So we kind of got into that conversation too,
Yeah.
And he does it. They're short podcasts, but he does it just for his people.
Oh, cool.
So he does it for the people because he's a trainer, right? He's like the owner, but he's also a trainer, does serious training and stuff.
Yeah.
And he really provides a lot of, and he's got degrees in it. He was a professional for a long, he's a really knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
But he provides these little chunks of things, and it's not like, come join my gym. He's not advertising for his gym or anything else. He's really giving out information, and it's good information that's helpful to people, because it's like the mental side of it, right? There's a lot of people have a lot of mental hangups on working out and getting healthy and stuff.
Sure.
And it's I think it's called Brutal Fitness.
Yeah, Brutal Fitness.
Something like that. Yeah, she's giving you the wrong one. It's
it's in the show notes, right?
Yeah, it's in the show notes. So but it was really good.
Brutal Iron.
Really good. It's Brutal Iron Gym podcast.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen.
It's a really good podcast. Now, obviously, extremely niche, right? Like geocaching is a niche podcast. This is an extremely niche podcast because it's people that are pretty serious at working out and are doing certain things. And he was just a really nice guy. Didn't charge me a dime. And I kind of got cooked on his podcast at that point. And he puts them out so regularly, I always have ones to listen to.
Oh, cool.
Even before this pandemic, it was something every day. And sometimes they're like an hour, but sometimes they're a lot shorter, right? But I've been hooked on it ever since then. And, I kind of met the guy before I really got into his podcast. So it was kind of the reverse of the normal thing. And it was just a really, really interesting business model. We talked for a long time about business and everything else. So I've been hooked on that one ever since then. Totally outside of this, but, the connection is kind of like the podcast connection and, somebody in business and somebody that's really trying to provide a good service for people.
Yeah.
Like, he's got his business model. He has to make his money, but he's really trying to provide a good service for people. So
that's cool.
Outside of this is kind of, the connection to our list tonight.
That's good. That's awesome.
What happened to this being a geocaching podcast?
That's what I wrote. Yeah, that was I put that in the banner. Hey, we're getting to it. Stick with us.
Yeah, well, we're kind of doing a little bit of both, right? Because this is Thursday nights. This is kind of just for fun, but this will kind of also explain where a lot of our opinions on things come from as well.
I think so.
Yeah.
All right. So one more, and then we are going to do a geocaching question next.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned to that. You can still hear me? I bumped my cable.
Yep, still hear you.
Okay, good. Because if I bump my audio cable, usually you lose me. So, all right. Last one, and we're going to do a geocaching question, then we're going to get back into some weird stuff too. Not weird, but different. Last show, and I've watched all of them, and it's disappointing when you get to the end of a series. This is a series that's not coming back, but I highly recommend it. Part of it is because, and this kind of gets into really why many people watch shows, because it is. I spent 30 years in IT, so. It's called the IT crowd, or there's a debate about it's called the IT crowd. It's on Netflix.
I'm familiar with the show.
Yeah, the IT crowd, but loved it. I'm not a big British comedy fan. Typically.
I love British comedy and drama, but
yeah, because you're a BritBox guy now, right?
Yep, absolutely.
So BritBox, not that we're sponsored by BritBox, but we'll take a sponsor if they're out there listening. Let us know.
That's right.
Geocachetalk@gmail.com. Just send us. But it was just the relationship of the people that were on that show is great.
Yeah.
It's been great. I mean, I've watched every episode of that. I watched every episode of the British Baking Show. I know that's weird, but I did. I watched every one of those, and I can't wait for the next. It's like that's a show that's still going. IT crowd, they've all moved on and all that.
Those really don't get my attention, and not shocker, but IT office space is not my thing.
Yeah,
which it's great for everybody that likes it, but it's not my thing.
It's a little bit wacky. It's sort of wacky to the point of it being very British. It has that weird kind of, this would never happen in real life. Why is Richmond in the room with the red door, and they won't let him come out, but then he does come out periodically, and I don't know. It's great. Oh,
yeah, you're not selling it to me, but that's okay.
Yeah. All right. A geocaching question. The geocaching question of the day. That's not really good, but it's geocaching question of the moment.
Yeah.
And I will put it up on the screen for you to start with. So here we go. A geocaching question for you, Jesse. What one cache type do you not hide that often, but might begin to hide more?
So that cache type that I had the least is letterboxes.
Right. Letterbox hybrids.
Letterbox hybrids, yeah. I've hit the letterbox too.
Yep.
Outside of the geocaching game, right? But so letterboxes.
Do people still? Sorry to interrupt. Do people still hide letterboxes? Just straight
yeah, absolutely. It's still going on.
I don't think we have any around here.
I wouldn't recommend people getting into it because it's not maintained like geocaching is. They don't have the same structure and backbone. No. There are some amazing letterboxes out there, non-geocaching letterboxes out there,
right,
with hand carved stamps and everything else, but that is not the norm from what I've found.
Right.
So that I'm not digging on letterboxing or anything like that, but for me, when I say letterbox, I'm talking about geocaching, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So letterboxes, and so the caveat to, or the second part of that is, I know it's not a type, although we refer to it as a type, right? Gadget caches.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to end up combining both of those because I've done that before, but I've always wanted to re-hide a new version of the caches that got destroyed at GW14er.
Oh, yeah.
Spent a lot of time working on those, and they were really simple, right? I'm not a gadget cache builder. I like it, but I've not done that many ever.
Sure.
So I would really like to at least redo that one series. So another 6 or 7 caches that are gadget caches and letterboxes.
Sure.
And maybe the letterbox part of it will be they have to get through the gadget cache to get the stamp, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed building those before. Now they got destroyed in one weekend, but at the same time, lots of people found them, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm not building for a mega, but I will build one for just somewhere around. The biggest problem with that is what's held me back. Now I've hidden letterboxes for other people and for events and stuff, but I've only technically hidden 3 for me.
Yeah. I think I've only hidden 1, but
so I would like to build maybe 7 more. So, evens me out of 10.
Yeah.
10 for letterboxes, but really nice ones, and maybe take some of that old ones that I built for GW14er.
Yeah.
The stuff that I'm learning from Chad. Maybe add a few LEDs to it, some other stuff like that. Definitely thinking about what we're going to do Tuesday coming up, which I'm not going to say and ruin it, but the one Tuesday we're doing coming up, that'll play right into the letterbox that I would like to hide.
Yeah.
On the Gadget Talk.
Gadget Talk next Tuesday.
That's the one I've really neglected as far as evenly spreading that out evenly. That's right. What I would say. So I definitely want to hide more letterboxes, but I also want to hide some that are like the actual letterbox hybrids where you use directions to get there, not just put a stamp in it.
That's interesting. Just finding our way mentioned the letterboxes don't allow the field puzzle attribute. I did not know that.
That's okay. It'll still be a gadget cache anyway.
We'll work around it.
Yep. There's always a workaround.
Doesn't have to have the attribute.
Nope.
I mean, it's nice to have it, but okay, cool. My answer to that one is multi-caches, just like Hacklebus mentioned. Multis. I've done some, but I've sort of neglected, I think, multis. I'm in an area, and I always mention this, but some people know because maybe others are like me. I'm in an area where if you can find somebody, if you have somebody come in and find a geocache, you're like, oh my gosh, somebody came to town and found a geocache. Oh my God. It's like alert the local press because there was people geocaching today, which I don't know you're supposed to do that, but they were out geocaching.
Yeah, there's some areas.
There are some areas.
Yeah.
But it's so rare. Like the Where I Go you helped me with that we put out there, it's probably been found like 3 times in 4 years or 5 years.
What a good container.
I know, it's perfect. I don't know where I got that container either. I think I bought it online. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, I got it
from jessysawesome.com.
I got it from Jesse, but it's a reverse Where I Go. It's fun. It's in a neat spot. It's a little tricky to get to the final, but that's part of the fun. And probably 3 times in 17 years or whatever. 25 years it's been fun.
Yeah, 50 years at least.
50 years. But I need to. Oh wow! How about that? He's only now that is a pretty good stat.
That is
one in one book. It's gonna and I think it's gonna make the 3rd edition that I'm working on. I'm working on the 3rd edition. Spoiler alert: I'm not prepared. I'm not ready to send out the 3rd edition yet, but I am working on it.
Yeah.
And man, there's a lot of changes in 3rd edition, but that's Wilson for another day. But multi-caches, I like. I don't know about you. I like finding a good multi-cache. And I kind of mention one sometimes that stands out, and that's where all of the
Chances, I know a podcast you can watch it. I will be watching it. Absolutely.
Is there a gadget podcast somewhere? Yeah, that'd be cool. No, so you know what I'm saying? But you understand, if the stages of a multi are really cool, like one we found one time, we get to stage 2 or whatever. I'm with the Motley Caching crew, so there's 5 of us out there, and we're looking around. We're like, oh great, here's another multi that's screwed up, and we're at a park bench, and we're looking, and we're like, oh man, this is not good. And somebody noticed that one of the bolts that was fully bolted down, you couldn't move it, but the person had taken unbolted it, took the washer, and they etched information into the washer.
Oh, wow.
Put it back on and bolted it down tight. And you could see, if you looked at it, you're like, oh, there's something on this washer. So you're looking at it, and you're like, oh my gosh, here's the clue right here. That's thought, great. Oh man. And so every stage of that multi was like that. There was something really cool that the person had did all the way up to the final. It was like, now that's what a multi-cache should be like.
So is that what yours are going to be like?
I'm going to try.
Okay.
I really want. It may not be a huge 10-stage deal because things disappear so often out here.
It's too bad that you don't have access to hundreds, if not a couple thousand people that can help you come up with great ideas for your multi-cache.
Help me, right? I wish people would send me an idea for my multi-cache. geocachetalk@gmail.com, which they could help, because I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
You're not hurting anything. You're not destroying
property. Crowdsource it, right? Might as well crowdsource it. We have
we'll crowdsource access to it. Help me out, and hopefully
let's build Gary the ultimate multi-cache.
Yeah, because my
100% favorite points.
Because the one I always mention is one of my favorites, which that I loved hiding and people love finding, is still out there. It's the one that's the sundial.
Yeah,
you have to build, all the parts are there. You have to make the contraption, sort of make the sundial, and then you got to see. Wow, that's awesome! 105 finds. Yeah,
that's what you're looking for right there. That's the benchmark there.
That is a extremely high Wilson rating, and that's what it takes for the 201 book. Is you got to have a very, very high Wilson rating to maintain that. So, all right, so there we go. So let's move on.
Okay,
you drop that. We're moving on to the next topic. That was a fun one. We're moving on. The next weird topic. I'm kind of on the weird topic thing tonight.
Yeah, we're going back and forth, right? Weird and then normal and weird.
Weird, normal.
But you know what? I think they all make sense. I don't think anything has surprised anybody yet.
Right. Okay, we're on to an interesting way to put it. What are one or two shows? We'll just do two.
Yeah.
One or two shows that you will never watch.
Ever.
And we can call it you can put a gun to my head and I'm never going to watch that show, or whatever, however you want to word it. Not that that's really true, but a show that you're never going to sit down and watch. You will flip by it every single time. Or if somebody goes, hey, you should go watch whatever, and you go, hey, I'm not going to do that.
All right, you're first.
Tiger King.
See, you're missing out. That is a hilarious train wreck.
I don't have time in a pandemic when you have all the time in the world. I don't have a single moment to watch that show. I'm booked. I'm booked solid. I have no time for that.
We all watched it. All was home because they got kicked out of the dorms for the pandemic. And now I don't know if that was released before or after the pandemic started, but It is a rolling train wreck that gets crazier with every episode. And now I may not have watched it if it wasn't for the pandemic.
Okay.
I think you're missing out, Gary. I'm telling you, you're missing out. I think the problem is you don't drink. That's the problem.
Maybe that's it. Well, what's funny about that too, by the way, is Caleb, who was on last Sunday, he's interviewed the guy.
Oh gosh.
In fact, the Norman, because Caleb used to be in Norman, Oklahoma, as the editor of that newspaper, and they had to change the rules, like official rules for all of their parades, because they have, most major cities will have, 4 or 5 parades a year, whatever, Christmas parade or whatever. So you no longer can have a live tiger in a cage and you can't ride on top of it. That's now a rule.
Oh, I'm just going to do that too.
You're not allowed to.
Yeah, but that show's a mess. It is really a mess.
Yeah. Well, he was running for office in Oklahoma. You know this. You're a big fan of this show and this guy and all this. But
I don't know if I'd watch it under normal circumstances, but I watched it during the pandemic and it was hilarious. So
tug back a few and you're like, what's the latest Tiger King on? You
have to tug back a lot to watch that show, in my opinion. But
All right. Over to you.
Over to me. Okay. Well, Sharon already guessed my very first one.
Oh yeah.
Real Housewives of
anything.
I don't care if it's like, I think Orange County is one of them. I don't care if it's like Birmingham, Alabama. I don't care Real Housewives of anything. I couldn't imagine what would influence me to sit through a whole episode of one of those.
Oh, come on, man.
Much less watch they're the worst.
The fighting and all
everything about society.
I have never watched any, but you've seen the previews, but I mean, I don't understand.
I guess people say they watch it because, they're a mess and that's interesting, but I couldn't, I can't, I've seen like 30 seconds because there's clips on other shows that I've seen of it,
Sure.
I can't say that I know enough about it. That's true. But they make me want to murder somebody. And I don't want to murder people. But
right.
Those shows, any of that type of personality and just self-absorbent, just I'm better than everybody. And oh my gosh, Bachelor type show. That's probably the exact same cast, right? When they get older, they go to Housewives. So I guess they become a Bachelor and then they get married and they go to Housewives then. I can't stomach those shows for like 2 seconds.
Yeah,
I can't do it.
Out.
I can't even say cleanly on this show how much I hate stuff like that.
Yeah. So here's interesting. This is mine. This is where we definitely differ, I think.
Okay.
And that is, as you said, fill in the blank. Real Housewives of whatever.
Yeah.
CSI, whatever. Fill in the blank.
Right.
Out. Not watching a single episode. Now I watched a lot of Law and Order. And I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, Jesse, where I watched so much of that show, it's like I don't want to see any more of it. I kind of burned myself out.
Now I like Law and Order.
Yeah, I watched several. Like I said, we used to binge watch that show. And it's like I can't watch it any of the reruns or anything anymore. It's just I burned out.
You watched them for a while. You just got burned out on the show.
I did.
So many of them.
But CSI, Criminal Minds, anything of that nature.
See, you just went over the limit with Criminal Minds.
I know. I know you love Criminal Minds.
Criminal Minds is great. It is ridiculous. If you know anything about law enforcement or the FBI or life, it is ridiculous the stuff that they do. But it's so entertaining. And I'm a serial killer nut anyway, right? I love reading about that.
Oh, yeah.
Those crimes that people get away with and that kind of, that kind of stuff. But it's I love that show. I love it. It is absolutely ridiculous, but I love it.
That whole, and you probably people can mention others probably in the chat room, but there's that whole. It's almost like its own genre. The whole CSI, Cold Case.
Yeah. Now, Cold Case is
Is that different?
If you're talking about the fictionalized one, yeah.
Yeah.
But now, like true crime versus fictionalized crime, yeah. But I get sucked into. I laugh at a lot of them, and I can't watch them. But I get sucked into kind of the law enforcement shows sometimes. You know, like
well, see now I'm
Blue Bloods.
Oh right. Yeah.
That guy, how is that even possible? That guy's like 150, and he's still cooler than both of us combined.
Yeah.
And I don't understand how that is. He just gets cooler every year. But that show's good. I get sucked into those. I can't help it, even though they're unrealistic.
Which is funny because we're also, Susan and I are basically binge watch Live PD, which is a whole Live PD is a whole.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard about that one.
Oh my gosh, so good. Third season just came out.
It's a drama, right? Of some kind.
Yeah.
I watched a few minutes. I was about to go to bed. And I was like, I'm going to watch the first 30 minutes of The Witcher.
Oh, yeah.
I watched about, because I like sci-fi and fantasy. I'm a big Lord of the Rings fan. So I watched the first 30 minutes and I was like, I might watch this. It's on the potentially SWAT. Yeah, there's another one. It's like.
I've seen a few episodes of that, but.
Yeah. All right. Next one. You have another one that you hate that you'll never watch.
They all kind of fall into one category, right? But this one is more vile than any of the Housewives or Bachelor or any of those other shows. It's Dancing Moms.
Dancing Moms.
It's not Dancing Moms, though. It's Dancing Kids. It's
right,
moms of dance kids is what the show is.
Like soccer moms. They're
yeah.
It's not the kids' fault. It's the mothers that are the problem.
It's a bunch of beasts forcing their kids and screaming at them. And like, it has to be. I've seen a few. I haven't ever seen a whole episode or anything else, but I've seen a few like clips and stuff like that. And I've walked through.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly to admit, other people in my house do watch this show. And
no way.
And the way I see them screaming at these kids.
Yes.
I can't even imagine for 5 seconds somebody coming half as close to that to screaming at my kid.
Oh my.
They would never. Anyway, we'll move on.
All right, we're moving on. All right.
How can you treat kids that way? I hope it's fake. I really hope it's fake. So
right. All right, next question. It is the following.
Okay.
Geocaching question. What part of the U.S. are you really itching to go geocaching in? Not like physically itching, like you have a rash, but you know.
So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Go ahead. I'll let you go first.
So this is one that's got me happy and sad both, right? Like there's one place left in the U.S. I mean, I want to go everywhere.
Chrissy had to point out she's not the one watching of the ladies.
We went to Hawaii last year.
Yep.
And awesome trip. We've talked about it several times, but I had so much fun. Even though it wasn't a geocaching trip, I could do a lot of geocaching. It was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's one, I mean, I want to go to several places to geocache, right? So separately than that. But the one that ranks the number one for me right now and why I'm happy and sad about it is Alaska.
Yeah.
The reason I'm happy and sad about it is, one, we've been looking forward to this for a long time. So we really planned this out.
Yeah.
And it was going to be tacked on to Seattle 2020
for
our HQ celebration. It's also the CFO and my 22nd anniversary. So we're going to make a special trip up to Alaska, finish out our 50th state, go to headquarters, do all the hoopla at headquarters and stuff too. And then, but get to spend some good time in Alaska, just us hanging out in nature and stuff like that and enjoying it. And I'm sad because potentially Alaska could still happen this year.
Yeah.
That's iffy, but it may not happen for our anniversary, and it's definitely not going to happen in association with the 2020 event.
Right.
Alaska is one of those that itching is I'm burning to go to Alaska.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to go. I've never made it to Alaska. And I mean, I live in Colorado, right? It's a beautiful place.
Oh yeah. I love Colorado.
I moved here because it's beautiful.
Right.
But Alaska is one of those things that I think I'm going to go to, and it's going to take my breath away.
Yeah.
I've never heard anybody go, I went to Alaska. It was okay. You know what I mean? Like everybody's like, it was the most amazing thing ever. You know, I understand why people don't live there as much because it's a harsh environment. You have to be tough to live there.
Yeah, you do.
But I'm dying to go there and
Oh,
So now it may be
man.
pushed a year. It may not go, but
Supposed to be in Hawaii last week.
oh yeah, Hawaii is great, and the people are great there too. But
we both cashed Hawaii. That's kind of interesting.
that's right. But Alaska is so far at the top of my U.S. list.
Yeah,
there's not a close second to it right now.
right. Mine is interesting. Mine is Arizona, New Mexico, and I've been to Arizona, New Mexico. We have to go through some time. I think I've done you and I have done this where we've been to a lot of states because I went to a lot of states prior to. Oh, okay. That's cool.
I still want to get to Alaska to fight wildfires along with caching. That is the least expected comment tonight.
Yeah.
That is pretty awesome.
What's funny is our North Dakota fans are in there. They're pushing for North Dakota. I'd like to go to North Dakota and geocache. That'd be awesome.
I have been to North Dakota, but I've just got to skirt the edge of it. I didn't really go spend tons of time recently.
But yeah, bunch of cool caches out there. I love caching last year in West Texas. I like that open type areas.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some really unbelievable caches out there. The Indiana Jones series, or whatever you want to call. There's a couple big Indiana Jones caches out in Arizona. Can't wait to go to that. So it's a neat area of the country. I found a cache in New Mexico, Colorado, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever found one in Arizona. I've been to Arizona, but that was before we were geocaching. So that was way back in the day. So anyway, yep. So that was mine. All right. Ready to move on?
Yes, we can move on.
We're covering a lot.
That makes me ache for Alaska now.
I know. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to make it there, though. The CFO has promised to take me there, so I'm going.
Go ahead and give us your. Let me go. Should I go first?
Either way. Yeah, I'll read it. Yeah. So, what are you reading during the pandemic? So, besides Held for Ransom, which is our book club book.
Yeah, I'm reading that. I'm on chapter 12.
Oh, look at you.
So yeah, making progress. I'm listening to it. See, I'm an audio listener of books, except for this one, and I haven't finished it. I've read. Looks like I'm halfway, and it's Neil Gaiman's Norse mythology.
Mm-hmm.
Right in my wheelhouse. That's my wheelhouse right there. I don't know if you do this with your books. This is a little side thing. I don't dog ear pages, but I will take advantage of the cover. Do you ever do that?
So
or do you use bookmarks?
I do that and much worse. So this is where we talked about this the other night, right?
You write in your books.
I write in my books.
Oh my God.
I highlight. I make notes in the margins. I dog ear the pages. Now, of regular books, right? Now, not if I got a collector's edition of a book, but in a regular book that I'm learning something out of.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's my book. I'm going to keep it.
I do what I want with it.
I hope to learn something out of it, so I'm going to make notes all in it.
He's got a lot of, and this kind of gets into also, I tend to binge an author. So, I will go through, and this one I love. You'll love this one.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it, but I have not read that.
It's almost written in short story form. So every chapter is almost like its own separate story, a separate short story. They're all tied together a little bit, but each one has a little bit of a short story. But like Malcolm Gladwell, I binge listened to everything he's ever written. As far as book form, I read Outliers. I read every one of his. Listen to every one of his books. So anyway, but you got a plethora. So
it's hard to write, highlight, and dog your books on tape, isn't it? It is.
It is. Yeah, you're.
That's the one section of my books. We talked about this other night of the 3 ways I consume them. I got a couple that I'll bring up, and it's kind of more Corona stuff than the others. I'm always reading detective novels and stuff like that. We kind of talked about that the other night, right? But
yeah,
I'm reading 2 books right now. One may or may not be interesting for anybody, right? But it's it's called Starting Strength. It's a workout fitness book. But there's 2 reasons I'm reading it. One, for personal knowledge. I want to read it for personal knowledge.
Right.
But two, I have the whenever it happens again, because school doesn't happen right now, but
Yeah.
I've had the fortunate opportunity for the last couple of years to be able to help coach, strength coach for a local wrestling team.
Oh, cool.
And it's, young kids, and they're just starting high school, a lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just kind of working into the strength part of their their fitness journey, so to speak.
Yeah.
So the more knowledge I can get, I don't get paid. I'm just a volunteer coach or whatever, but it's really great to see these kids work on something positive in high school. They get up early in the morning and do it, or all summer long. They're doing something positive instead of going out doing, stuff that people did in high school.
Sure.
Somebody, I don't know, me maybe. But so that's great. So anything I can do to like kind of help me learn more so I can pass that on, it's great. So I've been enjoying reading, even though it's like reading a textbook, right? But it's for knowledge. And then the other one is, so Miley is home from school right now.
Yeah.
So for the first couple of weeks, it was kind of, in there with spring break and everything else. We didn't know what the school was going to do. So we started doing our own homeschool.
Right. I don't know if she's talking about us.
She can't stay. Well, thank you.
I think we're talking. I think Sarah's talking about us. I think I'll take it as us.
There you go. So I'm reading a book that I read a long time ago, and everybody's probably read it, but I'm rereading it as an adult.
Okay.
To go along with her for her schooling.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And it's The Diary of Anne Frank.
Yes.
Different reading it as an adult.
Yeah, it is a unique book.
The kind of connection to it is way back before geocaching when I went to Europe when I was younger.
Yeah.
I went to the museum that was the house tied into this. So I have kind of a connection to this as well.
Sure.
But now my daughter's reading it, and I kind of know what's going to happen, but I'm rereading it again.
Right.
And it's an emotional book to read. It's pretty interesting.
It really is. I remember reading that in high school, and it is. It's a gripping book. I mean, if you really, if you're not.
Most people that are reading it are like seventh graders, right? Most adults aren't picking that up. They read it a long time ago.
Right. So but interesting. She's reading that in college, obviously, because she's at UNLV.
Yeah. No. This is my young daughter.
Oh, Miley, not Haley.
The literal the seventh grader.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because what year was Miley? What was this past year for Miley?
She's in seventh grade right now.
Okay, so she's finishing seventh. Okay.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. That's about when I read it too. Yeah, you're right. That seems about right.
So
that's seventh grade.
Yeah, it's interesting. We kind of going back through that with her, and I'm reading it for myself, but I'm also seeing her as she realizes, reading about World War I and II, and all these wars in the books, it's not very emotional. When you put a face to it, it's totally different. So so that's kind of weird, but anyway. So other than all the other detective novels I'm reading, that's the main things I'm reading right now.
Not Hallie. Miley's reading it. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. What's you want to do one more? Or you want to move on? Mystery novels.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Mystery novels.
The next ones are weirder for me.
Yeah. What's that?
The next questions are kind of odd for me. So
they are kind of odd, but I threw them in there because I find it interesting. One or two foods you can't get enough of.
So this is a hard one for me to answer.
You're not really a foodie.
I'm not a foodie at all. First of all,
right.
I eat based on my plan. I plan out what I eat. I don't really care much. The only food I really can or have the ability to binge is crab legs. I know that sounds weird.
All you can eat crab legs can be big.
Yeah. So like when we go to Vegas and I eat all you can eat crab legs, I generally embarrass everybody around because they're like, that is disgusting. I've got to leave the table. I don't have much limit.
Come on, Dad. Let's keep going. I got it going now.
Yeah.
Pop it and get it going. You got a whole pile. It's like
yeah. But other than that, I don't have any food that I can't live without. I mean, I can live without crab legs. I don't eat them very often.
Yeah.
Obviously I live in Colorado. We don't have a lot of access to the ocean here. But other than that, food, I will say anything the CFO makes home cooked.
Yeah.
I'm all in. Right. But as far as like going out to dinner, I could not go out to a restaurant for the rest of my life and I'd be fine. Now, if you cook something, you got my attention.
So this is funny because, because I'm much more foodie. As you can see my waistline. I've watched all the Food Network. I don't watch as much Food Network as I used to, but I've watched. I still watch all the Diners, Drive-ins, and Dives, all the time.
So probably a better way to ask this question for you then is, when the pandemic is lifted, what are the first couple foods you want to go out and get?
Peanuts, donuts, and ice cream.
Not all at the same time, though, right?
I'll put them all together. No,
did you eat all those in one meal?
Oh, no, I don't think I've had all in the same day. I could eat, and Susan's like, you cannot do this. You're going to kill yourself. It's like, what's the record? What's the record for most pizza slices in a sitting? How many pizza slices can you eat in 10 minutes?
So I just happen to know that the record for eating a 12-inch pizza is 41.43 seconds.
Is it really?
Yes, it is.
All right. I didn't know that was out there. I mean, I try to keep my stuff private. I don't want to tell people about my other life of competitive eating. Have you ever looked up the stats on this stuff?
Oh my gosh. I've seen now. See, again, ESPN once like that hot dog eating contest.
Yeah, the hot dog on July 4th, man.
That is disgusting.
It is to a point, but I mean, they're just dunking the bun in water, so it's not too bad. But yeah, they usually have a little bit flowing down.
Have you ever done an eating contest?
I have never done that, which is interesting because I'm just a braggart when it comes to eating. Barbecue too, man. Oh yeah.
I do love barbecue. I don't get that very often.
Man, barbecue. I could. Oh yeah. In fact, Ryan met us down at Round Rock. We went and had barbecue, but
I do like fried chicken. I don't eat it, but maybe once a year. But
yeah, I'm a fan. But donuts. We went to Round Rock. Rockwall's nearby. Round Rock Donuts, and actually ate them. We went to the event, and then I was, you tell me if this doesn't sound similar. I bought donuts at Round Rock, at the Round Rock Donuts. I didn't eat them because I was too busy yakking to everybody.
Yeah.
So I had, I didn't go crazy. I didn't get a dozen. I got like a half dozen, which is.
Did you polish them all off yourself?
Oh yeah, myself. Are you kidding me?
In a row?
Oh, I could eat 2 or 3 dozen without stopping.
Wait. You could eat 2 or 3 dozen.
Absolutely.
Donuts in a row.
Yes. Put them in front of me.
Like glass of milk, something like that to go with it.
Yeah.
Or water or something, They're
really good. I don't need, yeah. So Round Rock Donuts are incredible. So we went to the event. We yacked. I had my bag with me. We left. We went and did some caching, and while we were geocaching, we found a parking lot because there was a bunch of caches in there. And Susan was doing some Munzie, the M word, but anyway. So we took a moment, and I ate those. Oh my gosh, they were so good. Oh yeah.
How many is the most you've ever eaten at one time?
I've eaten a dozen, but I think I could go. I could keep going. I never felt bad. I mean, I could, but they're so good.
How long did it take you to eat those?
A dozen?
I've never eaten more than 3 donuts, I think, at a time.
Yeah, because you got to be a fan of sweets. Because
I like donuts. I've just never binged on them or whatever.
It probably took me 20, 30 minutes.
Okay,
that's not that fast.
That's a long time, though.
Yeah.
How many do you think you could eat in 10 minutes?
I could eat a dozen for sure in 10.
How sure are you?
He's thinking, I bet there's donuts out in Colby, Kansas when we're out at Mingo.
I bet there are. Ryan is in the chat room right now. Ryan, are there donuts in Colby, Kansas? Is there a donut shop in Colby, Kansas?
Oh, I know there is.
So I'm smelling a contest.
Oh, yeah. I'm in.
I've never eaten more than 3 donuts in a row, but I've also rarely ever backed down from a challenge.
That's funny. Yes, Direwolf. I only eat 1 donut at a time too.
Yeah.
Do you like how we put that? Tom, don't do it.
So I'm kind of thinking along the lines of what Ryan just said.
An eating contest.
A Mingo Madness eating contest.
Yeah, something to be fun.
Who can eat the most donuts in 10 minutes?
Yeah, oh yeah. I'll put you under the table, my friend. Donuts is one of those things. It's not.
I don't think I'm a good donut eater, and as a matter of fact, I can't even remember the last time I had a donut.
Yeah, I don't get them. That's the other thing. I don't get it very often at all.
But
Tom, don't do it. Don't do it.
But it's a contest. You know what? I'd be interested to see who's going to Mingo that would possibly be interested in jumping in. Maybe if we had like 3 or 4 of us up there.
Yeah,
that could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Ooh, how about this? How about we have like 4 to 6 people, but it's teams, 3 to 3.
I've seen those before.
Because I'm kind of scared because I'm not a good binge eater.
Right.
However,
I'm not either.
I really, really love competition. And this would be kind of funny. I've never done an eating contest. As a matter of fact, I did once and I failed. Those Denton, Texas were good.
But the donuts in Denton, Texas, for those that weren't able to get
You're not eating a dozen of those jokers.
No. That's a whole different world. The donuts that are in Denton, this is very unique. And if everybody's have seen places like this,
if we can get Krispy Kreme right off the line,
yes, I can.
That's silly. That I'm going to make myself. We'll get so sick.
That's the key. It's got to be fresh. Where you basically
here's the other key. We have to have a lot of people around, so it'll be embarrassing. That'll make us rise to the occasion, right?
I guess you're right. Oh, Krispy Kremes are great. Yeah, the one that we're talking about. Yeah. Audie says he'll do a spicy contest. I'll set that up. And watch.
Hold on. I'll lose a spicy contest. I am a baby when it comes to spices. However, Abe Wall just said he'll join a contest eating crab legs at any time.
No.
I am in. Let's make that happen.
Oh, okay. I'll make that happen.
Somebody needs to finance that because we're talking about many, many pounds of crab leg.
I know. It's, to me, that's one of those foods, and we're about to mention our foods that we'll never eat again. Those tend to be on my, so he wants to watch. I think he wants to underline, Bounce wants to underline watch. But
all right, you know what? I think it's gonna happen. We're gonna figure out how to make this happen. We're gonna you and me. I'm challenging you right now.
Just to finish this thought, it's called Back Dough.
Oh gosh, yes.
Denton, Texas, Back Dough. I love that name, but it's not a donut place. It's a regular. I think it's a barbecue or steak place, isn't it?
I thought it was a steak place.
Steak place, but they do this hidden menu kind of thing where at night, on certain nights,
like late at night,
like midnight, you have to go out there and stand in line in the back of this restaurant.
Like cash only. I mean, it's
cash only, secret. They only have like 3 or 4 type or 2 or 3 types, I think, that night, and but they're really well made.
No, these are almost like pies.
There we go. 5-star.
They're so indulgent.
Yes.
They're not. I mean, they're like, I can't remember the name, but there's like peanut butter and jelly and
yes.
Great. I mean, like it's cheesecake. It's all kinds of stuff.
Cash only. But that is a cool place.
Yeah. That was a fun event. That was a really fun event.
They're awesome events. There was awesome donuts. Yeah. Very true.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Totally off track now.
I know we're moving on.
But you haven't accepted my challenge yet?
Which is what?
Me and you, donut eating contest. We'll come up with the rules later.
Okay.
At Mingo, and we have tons of witnesses that if you agree.
Yeah, I agree. Now here's the thing. Here's the way we need to do it.
Okay.
Because it'll be funner this way.
Okay.
And that is a time limit.
Yeah, like 10 minutes.
You got to shove them in as fast as you can. So it's not like an endurance, because I think an endurance isn't fun to watch.
No, I don't want to sit there for 30 minutes eating donuts. 10 minutes.
I mean, like, give me 2 hours. How many donuts got to eat in 2 hours? Nobody wants to watch that.
No.
That's in theory, but like in 10 minutes, how many donuts could you woof down in 10 minutes? We'll see. We'll just have to buy a couple dozen a piece and just sit there and I don't know if a couple dozen. I mean, I'll eat my 2 dozen. You'll eat 3 or 4, and I'll eat the rest of yours. So we'll.
Oh my gosh! So you have accepted. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, we're doing it.
Okay, because I got a recording of it now. So
we're doing it. We're doing it.
It's on.
We'll have to come up with whatever the time is. I would think nothing more than 10. I mean, Nathan's hot dog is 6 minutes. I think. What's that?
I think 10 minutes is good.
10's good, or even less. 6 minutes is kind of interesting because that's the Nathan hot dog is 6 minutes, but 10 minutes is good.
Oh, I don't know anything about eating contests, but
yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll come up with something.
Yep, that'll be fun.
Yeah, we can get a couple other people up there too because
that's funny.
We'll do a challenge off. Okay, all right, let's move on before we gross everybody out.
We're moving on to speaking of grossed out. Foods we will never eat again. And you don't have anything on your list. So
I literally don't have anything on my list. So the only foods that I don't like I don't like tomatoes. Now I like salsa and everything. I just don't like chunks of tomatoes.
Right.
But I can eat them and I've eaten them and stuff. So I don't have any foods that I just can't eat.
Chunky peanut butter. You okay with chunky peanut butter?
Do what now?
Chunky peanut butter. You'll eat chunky?
So here's how little food matters to me. I don't even look at the label whether it's chunky or smooth when I'm making something.
Right. You just go.
It means nothing to me.
Right. I wish I had that attitude.
Now the
wouldn't weigh as much.
So she may have thought of something I can't think of. I can't think of any food that I won't eat. I don't like mayonnaise. I mean, I can eat it if it's on a sandwich. I'm not going to throw up, but I don't add it on there. But there's things that I don't necessarily want to put on my food.
Right.
But there's nothing I'm like, oh, I couldn't eat that.
There's a couple, and we're going to move on to the next geocaching question because, as I pointed out before, where is it? What happened to this being I have 2.
Okay.
And they're both things that I've eaten before and thought that they were good. And then now I'm like, I'm not eating that again because I'll throw up. I think if I do. One is raw oysters.
Tom just mentioned that one. That is disgusting.
Old okra. Yeah, you gotta go with you gotta fry the okra.
I mean, yeah. Don't even. I can eat fried okra all day long, man.
Who's boiling okra? You gotta fry that. I mean, come on. This is America. Is this still America? People boiling okra? Oh no. Raw oysters. Never again. Never again.
Did you get sick off of them, or you just didn't like them?
The last time I had them, I didn't get sick, throw up sick, but I did get sick. And it was like, no, that's not going to happen anymore. And the other one was sardines.
Yeah, I've eaten both of those things.
I've eaten sardines before. For some reason I thought they were good, and now I'm like, nah, I'm out.
They're extremely salty.
Yeah, no, I'm out.
So, did you ever watch Fear Factor?
I watched a little bit of it. Where they had to eat weird stuff, or they had to have stuff crawling on them, or
yeah. Did you see the ones where like they ate a live bug and stuff?
No.
Did you eat a grasshopper?
No.
Or just like one of those weird bugs you don't even know what they are? Or
no, like what's his name did on where he eats them grub worms?
Yeah, grub worms. Could you eat a grub worm?
No, couldn't do it. We always joked about if because they're high in protein, if you had to survive, and Susan and I look at you and go, no, we'll just die. We're not eating it. We'll just die.
So now, with the caveat that I've never eaten a grub worm, I think I could do it pretty easy. Especially in a survival situation.
You could if you had to, I guess.
Yeah. Or if there was a contest, if there's a competition to it, I'd probably do it for that too.
Sashimi, I don't know about. I mean, I'll eat sushi.
We may hold on. I missed it. Hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's moving too fast.
Sorry.
We may have to cancel all affiliation with Chad.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with
not like ramen?
The heck, dude?
I don't understand. He may be a robot. He may just be like artificial intelligence. He's not a real person.
Oh, I didn't think about that. He builds robots.
Maybe he is a robot. Chad, do you know that you're not a robot?
Yeah. Do you know that you're
we can go through the laws of robotics because that's not a human answer that you don't like ramen.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Maybe that's why he's so good at that stuff.
Yeah, that's it. It's because he's artificial intelligence. He's really
Did
smart.
You ever watch that Big Bang Theory where they were trying to convince Sheldon he was a robot?
No, see, that's another show I never got into.
Oh my gosh, Gary.
I know.
Gary, we're never hanging out again.
I know.
Okay, let's move on past food.
Moving past food. All right, the next geocaching question is now up right now once I put it into banners. And here we go. What aspect of geocaching is something that others might find surprising about you?
We'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. I have a kind of a long answer, but maybe not that long. I love hiding caches, as you know. I hide a lot, a couple hundred. When these aren't events, these are like, I mean, I love events, but I don't do a lot of events around here. Just be being Susan, but maybe some of the Motley Caching crew. But I love hiding caches a lot. I mean, I love it. But of late, I've really struggled with putting new caches out for a couple reasons. One is if I put a nice cache out, even in a park that I have permission to put in, I have gone to the parks department here in town. I've said I'm putting a geocache out in the park. Here's where it's going to be. Let your workers know, that kind of thing. Some kid with a baseball bat is going to run out there and smash it to bits.
So you get kind of attached to the caches because you're putting more effort into them, right?
Yeah, I put out some really cool, not necessarily gadget caches. A couple of them were
creative caches.
Creative caches. One was a puzzle cache where you had to solve the puzzle. It was a picture, and you had to figure out the clues. And then when you got out there, it was locked. And of course, that's the other thing. When I put, and I'll go back through, and I'm going to redo all the caches in that park because it's a huge park.
Yeah.
But I'm not putting any locked caches in that park ever again, because if it has a lock on it, and somebody sees it, they want to destroy it.
Right.
So they will always bash it in. And of course, I don't know why they haven't figured out there's nothing in it of value. Why would you think there's something value in a birdhouse cache that's got a lock on it? I mean, I'm not hiding gold in it. What are these morons thinking? But so anyway, so I've been struggling with this idea of so I'm kind of frozen in place. I don't want them to get, I don't really get too many necessarily taken once in a while, but it's pretty rare. It's more the Destructo, and I want to put out more caches that are the birdhouse cache type. But I've had caches where, I don't know if you do this or not, but I'll put out a decent cache of some size, disappears. So then I go down a level. Typically, I'll go down to pill ball size. It'll disappear. So I slowly kind of keep going down the line until it's well hidden, same size, but more, better hidden, or they become nanos because I can't, they keep disappearing. So other than that, or I'll just remove them and I'll just ignore that.
Thing, right? You spend all this time planning, you think it's gonna be a great cache, people are gonna enjoy it.
Yeah.
Then it gets destroyed and it hurts. It hurts. You know what I mean? You put a lot of time and effort into this, and then it's gone.
Yeah, and I've had some fun creating. I redid the one that W. Tim did with the key, where with the magnets, where you got to try to figure out where the key magnetizes. Like, oh, that's one of the. I did that. I did one that wasn't. It was a gadget. I like gadget caches where you don't have any kind of electronics in it. I'm sorry, bounce, but it was kind of cool. It was it was one that was you rotate, but you had to rotate it just right because it was like the cache would fall at the bottom, but if you rotated around, it would sort of just roll in place.
Yeah,
if you had it just right where you had the two things lined up just right.
Right.
Fall. That was gone, destroyed. Yeah, I don't think so. Daryl's about one of.
But it makes you think that, right?
Yeah,
you get all paranoid when your caches get messed up, and
yeah, I don't. the people around here, and these are typically premium.
I've never published a premium cache.
Wow, that's surprising.
Never.
That is probably the most surprising thing I've ever heard.
Although honestly, I forget about premium a lot because I got premium like 30 days in, right?
Oh, sure.
And I've never not had premium. And I always forget that premium is even a thing.
Right. Oh, I'm with you. But it isn't that. It's that people around here are bored and they have no respect for property. That's just the town I live in.
And that's disappointing. We have a lot of great cachers around here, but gadget caches do tend to get torn up around here.
So when you say around here, so is that more Loveland related, or because you don't have to go very far and you're out in the wilderness?
Right. Yeah. So the gadget caches here that are urban caches, there's some people that just like to tear them up, or that's for a different show. And I don't want to get into that because that's a really negative thing.
It is. But that's, DJ WS. I'm not anti, but I'm with you on that a little. But I want to do more like that. But think about it: if I live in a sucky town and I build something that, some of the cool stuff that, Dave builds or Bounce builds, and I stick that out there, destructo, it's gone.
Yeah,
I should make one sometime. I'd love to make one, or it's gone. Those people will take it.
I built one once that was an ammo can. It was pretty simple cache.
Yeah, I mean, I would put them. I'll have some too. I'll let you. I'll get on to yours, but I'll have them. Some of them where I'll put a decent, not perfect, but I'll put a decent lock on it with a chain. They'll come out with tools, and they will cut that thing and take it out. So
I want to make sure that we point out that this doesn't happen all the time. So somebody asked a question, says, my son and I are looking to start doing some hides of our own. How many would you recommend we start with? This could be a show all of its own, but I want to make sure we address that.
Yeah.
Because I don't recognize that name. So I don't know if they're new to the game or they're just now starting to hide caches, but find several first and find what you really enjoy. Like if you found like say 50 caches so far, and you find one that you're like, one that stands out among all the other ones, that's what you want to create. Especially, like I would love to go back to my very first hide and know everything I knew now. Oh my gosh, what I would do different, right? And that's a whole different show. But find something that you really enjoy. You put something out, especially because you can never go back to your first hide.
Sure.
Put something out that you're really proud of. Take your time. Don't just throw one out to see how to do it. Take something and do one first. And then see what happens, because you're absolutely going to make some mistakes in the beginning.
Yeah.
No matter how smart you are, how technical you are, engineer, whoever you are, you're going to make some mistakes because it's your first one. Get permission, hide something you're very proud of, and try to do something a little different and something that's really going to draw people in, because that's what's going to determine whether you really like hiding caches after this or not, is getting those great logs and that great reaction. And to me, it's so impressive when I see a brand new cacher, whether they're brand new or not. Like they could have been caching for years, but their first hide, and they put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah, one of the things too, and so thankful for the comment, because it was person on Periscope, which we love Periscope, so it's cool that somebody's on there. But one thing too is don't be afraid about asking for help.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We had a cacher here locally, and they had some cool hides, but they had some issues. And I've had a couple people who, Susan and I went to try to find it, we're like, it ain't out here.
Right.
And so I contacted them, and they go, I'm new to this. And it's like, we're here to help. I mean, the last thing we want to do is not be helpful. And sure enough, it was that they did not quite understand the coordinate situation. They were cutting and pasting from like just regular Google, and you know how that is. It'll be awesome. So they didn't have.
The other thing I would say while they're on there is, and we'll move on too. But the other thing I would say is, and I wish I'd have learned this a lot earlier, find somebody, another local cashier, to beta test your cash.
Yes.
That is the best thing you can do. When you hide your first cash and you're super proud of it, you have tunnel vision because you've been working on it for so long, right?
Yep.
Have somebody test it that doesn't know anything about it. They won't be the first to find. They'll find it later on, but have them beta test it so they can see it from a different perspective. That will save you so much headache. Start with one, and you get that cash out, get it right, then do another one, and then hide as many cash as you can be proud of for the rest of your life, and you'll be adding to the game after that.
Yeah, and
somebody to test that cash.
Yeah, and definitely if you're new, go find a bunch first.
Oh,
I've had a lot of people, and we both have seen. I know a lot of our listeners and viewers have seen where somebody finds one and they want to put out 50, and they don't. It's like,
which I applaud that.
I do it when we do
experience before you do it,
but they have good intentions. But I always mention to people because they're like, well, how, and this question comes up quite often too, is how many do I need to find before I, it's like, well, you don't have to. Okay, cool. So they have 163 finds.
Awesome.
That's a good number.
See, they have seen a lot of things now. So it's not like they found 4 caches. So get a beta tester and really do something for your first one that you're proud of. You'll take off after that because it'll be all a positive experience. But
no, that's perfect.
Glad you're asking the question. That means that they're the type of cashers that are going to think through it.
Yes.
And be great. So that's encouraging.
Yeah, you are a prime person to put a cache out because 163, you are at a point where you are ready. In fact, encourage others that have found maybe something similar, because that's the other thing. That is for another show, but
kill me.
How many?
Gonna take me out of this show. You keep saying that.
I know, but how many times have we ran across somebody, and not really judging them, but we've probably all run across somebody like, oh, I've found a couple thousand caches. You're like, oh, that's awesome. How and somehow you get around to hiding, and they go like, oh, I've never hidden one. It's like, what?
And there's a lot of people that'll never hide one.
I know, but they need to
hide a cache, an emotional commitment to hide a cache than it does to find 1,000.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in to find 1,000. You either find it or you don't. That's all there is to it, right? It's fun, but it doesn't really involve you as much.
Dave, I wonder how that went.
I've crossed that several times.
But that went over just great.
Yeah.
It might have. They could have shot in the dark there, but yeah. So yeah, we'll get into that. That's a good topic. We need to get into that more. So all right. I think we've got one more to get into. Yeah, we already talked about a couple. Well, I guess let's wrap up with the last one, which is a couple places. This is sort of geocaching related. Oh yeah, you got to do yours. I'm sorry.
We almost skipped over it.
No, we got to get into this because I know there were people at the
I know what it is though.
I know, but you know what's funny about this? This is, and this will end on this one because we got some other questions. We'll get to them another night.
Yeah.
But this one, when I first posted that we were going to do this, you know what the first comments were? And they were a little bit tongue in cheek, but they're like, gee, I wonder what Jesse loves. He loves Where I Goes. And what does he hate? Well, he hates 2 things. This is what the person put. It was William Glenn. He hates 2 things. He hates earth caches, and he hates everybody who likes earth caches. So what is the thing that's most surprising about you?
So the truth is, I did hate earth caches, but I don't hate them anymore.
What?
I know they go against most of they do and they don't. So I've been thinking through this a lot while
OMG.
The pandemic has ruined my mind. So
you're a bit touched by the fever there, my friend.
I know. I think the Rona got me.
You're being loopy. You got a little of that.
So here's the answer behind that. It's a long but short answer.
Yep.
Originally, I hated them because they fall into that category of caches that I don't like. There's nothing to find. Right?
Yeah.
However,
Yeah. Okay.
they do have some advantages.
Sure.
Now, I first got into them because people said you can't. Yeah, CFO still hates them. So, because you can't get them published, and we all know I've mentioned that story before.
Oh my God! Tell me about it.
Well, I love a challenge. And I have found some good Earth caches, but I found less good ones than average ones.
Right.
So,
you're not far off, Ryan.
Ryan messing with. So the part of the challenge I got into was they said you couldn't publish Earth caches. Well, anybody that tells me I can't do something, the fight's on. So I started publishing them, and I published more, and I published more, and then I just started publishing them and handing out to people and just giving them people so they could publish them under their name, and stuff like that. And
hey, I've got one that way.
Maybe
I got one from you, boy. That one, by the way, it is not found very often, which is kind of cool.
That is cool. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere.
It is, yeah. I like the logs on those because usually, like anything else, if somebody goes out and finds that, they're not going to do a TFTC. They're going to write up it. So that's anyway. Yeah. So you've done
got me looking into them a little more, right?
Did Earth caches on the fly, driving down the road. You do an Earth cache.
Yeah, I got kind of good at them, but I was doing just like boilerplate Earth caches, which is good because you can get them done, right? And most caches are boilerplate, half of all the caches you found, 70% of them are probably similar anyway, right?
Tom has an order for 3. So.
There you go. But then I started thinking about these Earth caches during this time, and well, obviously, if they're in your book,
they're good.
The best.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah,
best, right?
Wow, Trisha, she's jumping on the dislike side of things. Oh yeah, see that's another thing. That's
some of them are hard. I don't like them all.
Yeah,
but there's a couple of things that I do like about Earth caches that are kind of swaying me.
Mm-hmm.
One is even though there's no container,
the
flip side of that is there's no maintenance.
Right.
So that kind of got me intrigued a little bit, and I was like, okay, that's a good thing. The second thing is we like to travel. We travel a lot more. I did one Earth cache a year. There you go. We travel a lot, and you're not supposed to, other than the cache exchange program or things like that.
Right.
You're not supposed to hide a cache on vacation.
Right.
Away from your house where you can't maintain it. Well, you're actually encouraged to do that with Earth caches.
Right.
In the rules, I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's changed. Cool. Like I have 3 Earth caches that I published in Vegas where my daughter goes to college. So then, that was okay. And I was like, oh, that's a neat little trick.
Mm-hmm.
Then this pandemic has gone down, and the only thing we're allowed to do here in Colorado is basically hike and go to Home Depot. Well, I'm going to Home Depot a lot.
Right.
The hiking is what really kind of got me into geocaching in the first place.
Sure.
But it's hard in some locations to hide physical containers where the really deep back mountains, hiking, stuff like that. But there's almost always some kind of geological feature there. That's why you're hiking there, right?
That's true.
So it kind of gets me back to my roots of what I got into geocaching for, even though I've hated them for so long.
Yeah.
The benefit also to hating them for so long is because I know the least about them. And we've kind of been in the game for a long time now we're both kind of nerds of the game. I study the crap out of the rules. I study the crap out of every aspect of the game.
Yeah.
One thing I've neglected is Earth caches because I always hated them.
Yeah.
So now it's like a brand new aspect of the game for me, which think about when you first started learning about, geocaching.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, this is awesome. It's a brand new world. Well, I'm kind of experiencing that again. So I'm kind of on a high with that right now. So I haven't been finding tons of Earth caches, but I have to say that I have been building some. And I'm beginning to learn more information to where I can put them where they're not in the city. So they're not urban caches, but they're way out. Now he's mellow with age, not even close. But they're in areas where I want to go caching.
Yes.
They're way out in the middle of nowhere. They're, multiple mile hikes and stuff like that. And I'm getting more and more adventurous with them.
Yeah.
And just like we mentioned earlier,
mm-hmm.
I live in Colorado, so I just happen to have access to like extreme hikers.
Yes.
So I can have somebody go and beta test all these because I don't know much about them yet.
Right.
And I know no matter where I hike, they can beat me. So I've kind of got the right system for it, and that has intrigued me lately. So I have to say that I'm off the hating Earth Cache bandwagon.
Yay.
And I'm enjoying creating them.
Yeah.
It hasn't necessarily translated to me finding a bunch, but
how many you think
I have enjoyed creating them?
How many think you've created now? What's your total?
So I think I have 24 under my name.
Wow.
And then I've probably created another.
I got one of yours.
So yeah, 25. Another dozen or so for other people.
Okay.
But I have 14 waiting to be published now.
Wow.
So, but it's different, right? It's something that I haven't ever played with. So it's like getting to start over and find your first guardrail cache or your first LPC. Stuff that we laugh about now is amazing the first time you do it.
Oh, yes.
So for me, it's something brand new. So I have to stop lying. I don't hate Earth caches.
Wow.
I'm not saying that I'm like signing up to be Earth Cache fan number one yet, but I am really enjoying having a new aspect of the game. And that's what we preach all the time, right? Keep trying to grow in the game. So I've come clean. I feel good.
Wow. I mean, this is on the record. This will be out there forever.
And so here's the other thing. So Christy said this too. She hates Earth caches, but if you put out the effort and you're there, the owner should give you credit.
Yeah. No, I agree.
On mine, that is my intention. Now, here's the other thing I didn't mention. They changed the rules where you can add that you have to, you can require them to do a picture.
Right.
I love that because you can't armchair that. You have to be at the top of that mountain and your picture has to be there. You didn't get there.
Yeah, I don't know why, because it wasn't, if I recall.
They changed it years ago. They redid it with the virtual back out.
Yeah, they redid it. So that's cool.
So here's why I love all that. If they get there, they hike that mountain, which I literally mean hiking mountains around here, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Down. Yeah.
And they have a picture of the top and they try to answer the questions even close.
Yeah, you're in.
They've got it. They were there. You know, I don't need geology expert. I want cachers.
Yeah. See, that's what
effort, and you've got it 100%.
That's what Trisha, TWH writer, was commenting on, was that I don't like the ones where you do have to have some sort of a degree. Now, it depends, because if it's a D5, it's a difficulty 5, I can kind of see where I've got to do more work. Don't you think?
Well, and this may be for another show, right? But here's the problem. If you read the Earth Cache rules, it says you shouldn't have to have any background geological knowledge, right?
Right.
So how do you have a D5?
Right.
That's kind of odd. Although I've seen D5 ones, and there's actually one that I have on my list to go get that's a 5.5, and it's a Colorado 5.5, and it's a crazy hike to the top of a mountain, a peak of a mountain, and it's a long, long hike, and you can only get it part of the year and stuff like that. But to me, that's kind of one of those conundrums that, how do you not have any previous knowledge, but it's also a difficulty 5? Because it can't be a puzzle. So I don't know. We're going to ask somebody that's more knowledgeable than me about it. But so again, that's one of those things. I don't know much about them. That's why it's exciting to me right now.
Yeah. And
that's about Tuesday Night Confession, by the way.
There you go. Tuesday Night Confessions. Well, we need to wrap up.
I know.
We could go 8 hours. Well, in fact, we've done 8 hours.
Oh, don't start that.
A couple times.
That was the best calls ever, but it's always torture for me to go that long.
Are you ready? You ready to do 12, 15?
It's not time again yet. 17? I got to save up my energy. I'll have it. I'll be on a high from beating you at Mingo, so I'll be okay.
There you go. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, hopefully you'll ride that all the way to December. But anyway. All right. That's it. We have no outro, so we're just going to say goodnight to everybody. Thank you so much, chat room. We had people stay on for the whole thing. We're give us a like, give us a subscribe. If you're if you watch this long, you got to subscribe. I mean,
and you know what? Hopefully we're
in now.
Distraction tonight, right? Like, you're not watching the news and seeing horrible stories. This is a distraction, just for fun night. Yeah, we had some fun. We talked about some neat stuff that we don't normally get to talk about. As all of our normal listeners will know, we stay on topic. That's one of our, for the most part. I know Scott will tell us we don't, but once we get on topic,
once we get started, we stay on topic, and that's something that I pride ourselves on, is that we stay on topic. We'll rabbit trail, but we come back to the main trail. We don't.
Let's be honest. You do a good job of keeping me on topic.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah. So there you go. Thanks, everybody.
We'll wrap up before we start talking about something else.
We'll see you Sunday. Sunday's show will be kind of interesting as well. We're gonna deep dive into the rules. Which, how often do you deep dive into the geocaching rules? You know, we're gonna have April on, April Holly Smith will be on, and Neil Moore will be on, and so between those two fine folk and Jesse, they're going to banter back and forth as I ask them tough questions from the rules. It's in the rules. That's what the show's about. So we'll see everybody. Take care.
Good night.
Bye, everyone. Good night.